Today is once again a weather alert day for North Texas, as an active weather day is expected later this afternoon into the overnight hours. We have a full look at what to expect for the later hours today. We're going to let you know what to expect. So weather alert day means that there is a risk for severe weather. If you're watching on the live weather channel, we have weather alert day mode activated. That means that the graphs say weather alert day, just so you're alert to the fact that there is the risk for severe weather. We have live safety tips, stuff like that. But in general, a weather alert day for us here at Weather 225 means that there is a risk that we want you to be aware of, just so you're not caught off guard by the potential for storms, and we are monitoring that very, very closely. So make sure that you have ways to receive alerts, whether that's No Weather Radio, our app, other apps, other stuff like that in general, and just be aware of the radar as we head into the evening hours, especially if you're planning to do anything across the area. So starting off, we are going to be in the lower 90s for highs today, weather alert day with a 100% chance for storms later this evening. And let's be very clear, every single person in North Texas is going to see some type of rain and thunderstorms, and we're watching the widespread rain for the potential for flash flooding. That looks to be one of the highest risks today, in addition to the severe weather risk that we're going to have with the initial storms that move through. But everyone's going to see rain and storms, but not everyone's going to see the intense severe weather. So we just wanted to let you know, everyone's going to see rain. Not everyone is going to see the severe weather, but there is a potential that we could see some fairly widespread gusty winds across the area. So we just want you to be alert to that as well. The forecast for tonight, 50% chance for showers and storms once we get closer to daybreak. But the 100% is basically going to be between, let's say, 6 o'clock in the afternoon to 3 o'clock overnight tonight, maybe 4 a.m. or so. So we'll show you that hour by hour. Those rain chances will be increasing. The start of the rain is not the bulk of the activity today. We want to make that very clear. If you see this graph, the hour by hour, as you see, it starts at 40% for noon. That is for the potential for some isolated pop-ups here or there across portions of the region, especially in some of our eastern and western counties. And then that rain chance is going to increase to close to 100% once we get past 6, 7, 8 o'clock tonight. So we'll show you the rainfall projections. Like we said, we're watching this very closely, and as you can see, the 24-hour projections show everyone's seen some type of rainfall, but we're looking at potentially closer to 3 to 6 inches of rainfall in some locations. As you can see, we're exceeding those blues, starting to get into those purples and reds. Some isolated instances of close to 5, maybe 6 inches of rainfall is possible. Like we said, widespread rainfall is forecasted. So let's get into what everyone is concerned about. And while I'm thinking that flash flooding is going to be a primary concern, oftentimes viewers will hear, severe weather, and they will be more concerned for the tornado, the hail, and the wind risk. We're going to break that down for you here. We had a slight change in our graphic. As you can see, we put the overall hazards right underneath the banner, just so you can see a better view of the risks. We moved that from the side of the screen to the top. So if you've noticed a change, that's what we did. Basically, all of North Texas is under a slight risk for storms. We do have an enhanced risk further to the northwest of the immediate DFW area. We're watching for an update. The time of recording for this was at 10:30, and we're going to watch for an update at 11:30 from the Storm Prediction Center, where we are going to get a new day one outlook and see if any of this changes. Keep in mind, though, if there is no change, we will not update this video, because it's going to be what we've been forecasting all along if there is no change. So stay tuned for updates later in the day. But for right now, we are at a 2 out of 5 for a large portion of North Texas. And some things that we're watching, and especially because this is what we're going to be looking at storm coverage-wise, this is going to be a line of storms that moves through the area. And with that line of storms, there is the potential for what we call QLCS tornadoes. And we're going to be watching how that line forms. There could be a couple of lower top supercells that have that look to them today, where they will look like they're going to produce. They might issue a warning, but it may not produce at all. It's just one of those days that the forecast is calling for a low tornado risk, but it is going to be a risk to monitor, just because we have that risk for QLCS. And then if we have any sort of isolated initiation out ahead of it, there is enough ingredients for a lower end tornado risk. It's not zero, but it's not the highest risk that we're looking for today. So keeping a very close eye on that, as like we said, there could be a couple of storms that have that look to them, maybe reach that risk for a tornado in the short run. especially with a QLCS risk, which means there is a line and then you have an embedded spin up along the leading edge of it. So we're going to be watching that very carefully, but that's not the main or the highest risk that we're looking at for today. The highest risk that I'm looking at is any isolated development basically along into the west of I-35 that would be capable of that large damaging hail up to maybe 2.5 inches. And then also the main risk today, in my opinion, is going to be the gusty winds with that line of storms. It's going to be a squall line, if you will, that moves through. And there could be some instances of 60, 70, maybe even 80 mile per hour winds embedded with that line, as the Storm Prediction Center, let me go back to that, has highlighted a enhanced significant area for the potential for 80 plus mile per hour winds, especially in our northwestern counties. So we're keeping a very close eye on this. All risks are there. The highest risks are going to be flash flooding with that widespread intense rainfall, and then also we're talking damaging winds, maybe even some damaging hail there as well, and then a low but isolated tornado risk. So moving on, we'll show you the timeline with this. We know this video is a little bit longer. We thank you for tuning in with this. We just want to cover all of our bases and let you know what to expect. This is starting at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Now notice there is convection well to the east and well to the west of North Texas. We're keeping rain chances right about 20 to 30% just because, keep in mind, models aren't perfect. We could see some early initiation that develops in the Metroplex. These would be pop-up thunderstorms. So keep in mind, if you're going to the State Fair today, have a way to receive alerts for lightning and rain in the area, and make sure you download our free Weather 225 mobile app. We'll keep you ahead of those storms. So that's why we're keeping it around 30%. And keep in mind, the models are even showing some additional development in our southeastern counties. So we're keeping that around just because, like we said, models aren't perfect. There could be some storms closer to the area. But the bulk of the activity is once we start getting closer to 6 o'clock. We're going to go an hour earlier than this model and is depicting, and we're going to show you. Notice those isolated supercells near Onley, and then they start to merge into more of a line as they shoot down into the Metroplex. This is going to be what we're concerned for with that damaging wind risk. As you can see, it is a solid line. We'll have to watch how that segment blows through because, like we said, QLCS tornado risk, damaging wind risk, 60, 70 mile per hour winds. It won't be a fun evening if we see that line sustain severe limits as it pushes through. So we're watching all that. There could be some pockets of quarter to $half size hail with this as well. Closer to 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., the main line's going to be pushing out closer to 2, 3, 4 in the morning, but notice all the precipitation behind it. So we're going to get all that rainfall from this line once it moves through, heavy rainfall with that, and then we're going to have additional what we call wraparound precipitation, basically moving into portions of the area that will continue rainfall rates in some areas. So that's what we're looking at with that. So keeping a very close eye on this forecast as it is going to be an active afternoon and evening. Additionally, once we get past this, we have another round of fronts that push through the area, what we call double barrel fronts, just because we're going to have one more system move through tomorrow on Thursday, and then Friday morning we have this crashing cold front into the Metroplex. And notice it's lowering our temperatures into the 70s for highs. We're not talking mid-upper, we're talking lower. It's actually going to struggle to be around 71 for the high on Saturday as it's looking now. Lows are going to be in the upper 40s to lower 50s Saturday night into Sunday. That's going to continue before gradually warming into the mid-80s by Tuesday, but it's going to feel a lot more like fall once we get past the numerous rounds of systems moving through. Keep in mind, the one on Friday is going to be more of a colder, drier air mass, so we're not really talking a lot of rainfall with that, if any, but we have storm chances tonight into tomorrow, early to midday, and then we have this crashing cold front. It's going to come in with some speed, and we're going to see those temperatures drop dramatically, and then we're also going to have winds around 15 to 30 miles an hour on Saturday. So keep that in mind if you have any sort of sports events coming up on Saturday. Other than that, like we said, weather alert day, longer video, we know, but we want to make sure that you have all the information that you need. We want to make sure that we answered all of your questions. Stick around for that update later this morning if we get any changes from the Storm Prediction Center. Download our free mobile app, Apple, Amazon Fire TV, and on Google Play. We are on across, of course, multiple platforms as well on social media and YouTube. Make sure that you get the latest information right here from your North Texas Weather Authority. Whether it's sunny, stormy, or snowy in North Texas, be sure to download our free Weather 225 mobile app.